So this is our moment of reflection of today. It was, oh, I'm still in a, I don't even know what to say mode here. We went boating, as you saw from the previous videos, and as we were leaving, this insane person entered my brain, and I looked to Louisa, and I'm like, "Do you want to jump?" And she's like, "What?" I'm like, "Do you want to jump?" Um, I'm 40 years old, and I have lived, I'm going to say 39 years, because I didn't realize I had little to no fear now. I have lived 39 years absolutely terrified of water, absolutely terrified of life. And a few months ago, we got a trampoline, and the biggest moment of my life was jumping from the porch onto the trampoline. That was huge. And I have studied water my life. I have studied what's in it, specifically sharks. I used to go to PEI as a kid, and I have never once touched the ocean. I've been to PEI 1,000 times, and I have never once touched the ocean. So for this idea to come into my head, what? So we're at the top of the cliff. I'm at the top of the cliff. Louise is still getting out of the car, trying to realize what the hell I'm doing. And I turned to this man who's standing there, and I'm like, "Have you jumped?" And he said, "Yes, I have, many times." And I'm like, "Okay, I assume the only thing I need to know is how do I put my body? How should I form my body so that, I don't break?" And so he's giving me direction, and you can hear the people who have already jumped 100 times. They're like, "Is she gonna jump? Is she gonna jump?" So they start coming up, and they start jumping, which was kind of really handy, because I got to kind of see from the top and not just from the bottom, a little bit of what was going on. And it was good, but it wasn't. It was a little bit more complicated at that point, because I saw them drop, and I didn't focus on the fact that they were coming up, and none of them were coming up broken. So I'm starting to panic, and he's starting to see that I'm shaking so bad at this point in time. I can't even breathe. It's funny, because I'm not feeling the emotions that went along with my body doing what it was doing. My body was in straight up panic mode, and I wasn't. I was ready to do this, but I've spent 40 years with my eyes looking out at water and immediately panicking before I even made it to the water. I'm in panic mode, so my body's on autopilot. So he's giving me this advice, and as I'm starting to panic, he just turned into like this voodoo genie who just started saying the right things. And he's like, "You're overthinking it. You see that they're going down. You see that they're coming up. I've told you I've done it myself. I'm talking to you here, am I not?" And he's like, you're overthinking it. And I'm like, I am. I was hit by a car, and I walked away from it. I walked away from everything in my life. I've never broken a bone. I've never hurt myself. That's not just because I'm the most cautious person in this world, but I've been hit by cars. I've had incidences where I should have been harmed, and I simply wasn't. So I do not feel pain, and I'm already healed. And the next thing I knew, I'm walking off a cliff of water. It's not just a cliff. Again, if you know me, a cliff isn't a problem. I'm going to go skydiving, and I was fine with it because it was over land. If it was over water, forget it. And I not only stood at the top of a cliff that I have not been able to ever go near the edge of before in my entire life, but after years of watching everyone in my family jump off of this cliff, I did. I jumped off a water cliff. I jumped off a water cliff. It's proud of me. It's overwhelming. It's sad because my family wasn't there. Appreciative that I had a friend there, at least somebody I knew. It was terrifying. It was liberating. Um, I lived a day. I lived a day of my life. I lived a day of my life. That was insane. 40 years of watching everybody do all of it, and thinking of all the ways that I could save them. And I walked off of the most terrifying thing of my entire life. Well, with the water being at the bottom was the most terrifying thing of my life that I thought I had. And I'm sitting here telling you about it. So I don't have fear. I'm a little shocked. I'm still trying to process a really big moment of my life. So I just thought I'd share that I did something absolutely amazing today. I lived a day. Thank you, Louisa, for for coming on my crazy adventures with me the last 2 years. That's been I've asked you 100 times why you stay, and I don't need to ask you anymore. I just appreciate that you do. I appreciate anybody that does. I appreciate my kids. I appreciate everybody I've had. I jumped off a water cliff today, and if anybody knows me, they know that that's huge. I lived today. That's pretty cool. You guys rock. Thanks for sharing this with me.